what is devotional non-duality or devotional self-inquiry? Because most people talk about self-inquiry and non-duality in a slightly dry way. However, for me, it's very much a devotional journey. And as we explore self-inquiry, of course, it begins with that deep question, who am I? And as we explore that experientially in our meditations, of course, it can be explored as well with the mind. The mind needs to be satisfied, but ultimately it's the experience of detaching from the stream of thinking and the objective world and turning the attention inward to rest in a state of open, aware presence or being. And in that state of being, as we go deeper into the state of being, we let go of resistance to presence. We're actually moving deeper and deeper into a state of surrender, complete surrender. And of course, the world usually understands religion or the concept of God as I am here, a small human, God is there. This collapses when we move into devotional self-inquiry. Because the solitary subject who we are turning to here is the divine presence. So we have the objective world, the world of objects, and we include the subtle objects within that as well, the objects of the mind, of the emotions, of the body, of the pranic system. And we're turning back to the solitary subject that is the presence beyond object, the melting away of all separation. And in that state of total surrender, where we're melting back into the sense of being, the sense of I with not the objective I, the story that we tell ourselves, but the I that is aware of that aspect of ourselves that lives in the world and has a story and works in time and space and believes it owns certain things, etc. So we're turning back to the solitary subject, and this is a state of love. And that is divine love. There is no judgment. There is no separation here between here or there. And in that space, all the lower vibrational emotions, which are the subtle objects that disturb us, like shame and blame and anger, resentment, etc. They're all surrendered up. They cannot exist there. So as we become one with, there is only one. And, you know, this is a whole understanding of non-duality. There's only one thing happening, not two. Yet we have divided up the world. So non-duality talks about the one consciousness that then expresses us, that divides itself and expresses itself as the 10,000 things, millions of course, expresses itself through each being, each human being, each flower, each tree, each expression. But taking it back to its source, there is one consciousness expressing as. And as we, in our self-inquiry meditations, keep stepping off and back from identification with the objective world, we become closer and closer to that one field, that source of consciousness, that source of love, that divine source. And when a merging occurs there, compassion, kindness, all these higher expressions are simply the only way we could express. There is no other. The lower energies don't exist there. They've been melted by the surrender to love. So even in the most wonderful religions, if there is a separation and a misunderstanding that the divine is within, be still and know that I am. Or as Gandhi said, the divine radio is always playing. We simply need to tune in. That frequency, the frequency of love, is always and ever available. Yet we are, through our conditioning, obsessed with the objective world. And there's nothing wrong with the objective world unless we identify with it and we look for happiness in things, in objects, in people, in belief systems, in ideas. Ultimately, in the self-inquiry and non-duality way of approaching love, all ideas go. And it's very hard to talk about it. That's why we call this pointings. It's not a system as such. We're pointing toward that which is ever present, ever loving, ever divine, ever available. Yet we've taken on so many programs here. You know, we need to delete and empty our junk box and drop into alignment with the solitary subject, source, God, the stream of divinity that flows through all things. And of course, it's so much easier to see that in a flower or a baby or an innocent creature. So much harder to see that in another who is identified as the victim or the oppressor or whatever. But yet, it is there for all of us.